Oh, so many data cards, and they're all useless as we have a new set. But is it worth buying them? Let's find out, and it's coming right up. Couldn't even do that because my hands are full. Oh, so many data cards, and they're all useless as we've got some new Necron data cards, and today we're going to review them. Is it worth buying them? And it's coming right up.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. And if you're new to the channel and you want to learn about Necrons and more, then please subscribe and hit the bell button to turn on all notifications so you don't miss an upload. Okay, so in this video we are going to review the new Necron data cards. I'm making a lot of videos around the new Necron release, including a whole series of videos where I'm going to be covering the rules and units in the Codex. Today, however, it's time to review the data cards. Okay, so here is our brand new box of Necron's data cards with the Skorpek Destroyer Lord on the front, of course the same as the Necron Codex. Now I'm going to open these in a second, but first of all I want to chat about the old Necron cards, because there's two things that I don't like about these that I'm hoping the new pack would have improved upon. So putting the new ones aside and just having a look at these old ones first. Well, the first thing that I don't like is the picture on the front. Whilst this picture is very cool, when you have them all together, there's two different pictures which look very similar and are hard to distinguish between the two, because there's three sets of cards in here. There's the Catan powers, there's the tactical objectives, and of course there are the stratagems. And it can just be quite confusing because the pictures on those two are very similar. Now I solved that by turning the Catan powers upside down, and then they separate these two piles of cards. If they're that way, well, you can still see it, but it's just harder. So anyway, basically what I'm saying is I'm hoping that the different types of cards will be distinguished a little bit better by the back cover. Also, what I don't like about these cards is the very, very small writing. I wear glasses, and even with my glasses on, well, it can be quite difficult to read these, especially if you're in a low lit room. And there's quite a bit of space on these cards where they could easily just enlarge the text. I mean, why is it so small with this big blank section at the bottom? So I have my fingers crossed that we get bigger writing. Anyway, let's put these cards aside and have a look at these brand new cards. I have my trusty knife, so let's get these open. Obviously doing this very careful because the box is only a cardboard box, it's not a plastic box, and we don't want to ruin the box because, well, we need to keep these cards somewhere, so we'll be keeping them in the box. So let's get this cellophane off. It looks to have exactly the same design, so it's like a flip up design, and my old box has lasted quite well with this flip design, so that's not too bad. And then we open up the cards. Right, now in this set of cards we do not have tactical objectives because tactical objectives of course are gone now, but we have the command protocols. So let's have a look at the back of these cards first and see how different they are. So we've got those, and will we get any different backs? Okay, yes. Right, so we've got the skulls, or the heads, and they are the strategic ploy stratagem. So right, they're stratagems, and then we have, well, what is that? I'm not quite sure what that is. It looks like a demon with a with a Necron symbol on his head. I'm not quite sure what that is. Any ideas? Let me know. Right, let's see how many of these we've got. So we've got those, which are the powers of the Catan. Maybe that's a Catan then. Okay, yeah, that's the Void Dragon, isn't it? Doll. Okay, so they're the powers of the Catan, and then you go to these, which are core stratagems. Okay, so core stratagems. Okay, warfare stratagems. Okay, so obviously you've got all the different categories of stratagems. Are these different? No, they're exactly the same. So they haven't distinguished the different categories of stratagems on the back of these cards. That's a bit of a shame. Then of course on here we've got a picture of some cool Necron dude, and of course these are the command protocols. So these are the new rules which have come in, which of course I'm going to be reviewing all of these new rules in the Codex review in the very near future. Now in terms of the size of the text, I think it's, well, I don't know that it's bigger, but I tell you what, it's easier to read. Maybe that's just because of the background. Let's have a quick look at the old ones again. No, they are bigger. They're bigger and they're a better font, and they're not so wishy-washy, so they're clearer, bigger and easier to read. So I'm happy with that. That actually is an improvement. I do think having different backs might have been better, but obviously there's only so much printing they can do, I suppose. But of course the main question is, are these useful? I mean, is it worth having these? Now all of these rules here will be in your codex, whether that's a book or digital form. If you have the book, then arguably you could say you could photocopy these cards if you wanted to, and actually cut them out and make your own cards. That's obviously quite a lot of hassle, and there's quite a lot of stratagems to do that. So the question is, having these cards outside of the book, is it actually worth it? I've always found that it has been, but let's go through the three different categories and discuss them. So powers of the Catan, let's start in the middle. I do find this very useful to have your Catan powers. Being able to lay down the powers that you've taken for your Catan next to your army is very useful, not only to remind you what you've taken, but also to stop you having to flick through the book just to double check the rules. So I always use the Power of the Catan cards whenever I'm using Catans or the Tesseract Vault. Now in terms of the Command Protocol cards, I also think these are going to be very useful. Now obviously you could write on your army list the order that you're going to take these, but having the cards just means that every time you play a game you can change the order, and obviously it's easy access to the cards. So if you were on turn 2, you could take turn 2 protocol, and once that's been done you can put it behind, and then you have your turn 3 protocol ready to go for the next turn. So I think those are also going to be very useful. Now for the stratagems, there's a lot of stratagems. Now what I tend to do is I write my army list, and then I go through all of the stratagems and work out which ones I want to use for that list. Obviously you have a limited amount of command points, so I pick the better ones for that particular list that I've chosen, and I make a little pile of them and disregard the others. That way I don't get too confused. Obviously it's a good idea to sort of keep a mental mind of what the other cards are, just in case a situation arises, but it means that you're going to be spending your command points on the best stratagems for your army. So again, just having those out next to your army list so you can easily refer to them, very, very useful. Personally, I would say it's definitely worth getting these cards to run alongside your codex. It just makes playing the game much easier and helps you remember all the rules. Now don't forget to let me know what you think of the data cards in the comments box below. Do you use them? Will you be buying these new ones? And of course I'm going to be reviewing all of the units in the Necron Codex very soon. In the meantime, here is a playlist of all of my new Necron unboxing videos for you to watch next. Beam me up!